Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the MCube session. It's all about you with General Dogra. Before that, wish you all a very happy Lodi, Makar Sankranti, and Pongal. Makar Sankranti or Lodi is a festival of harvest. It's a festival where a lot of us ponder over how the months or the weeks that went by they were. But do we stop there or we learn our lessons and move ahead in life? Yes, drop the past, walk the present is the discussion that is going to happen with General Vikram Dev Dogra today. He doesn't need any introduction, like I said last time also. He is a man of his own words who told us last time dream big. When you dream, do a lot of things. And one of the things which totally resonated with me was public pledging. Because when you put that pressure on yourself, which a lot of people feel is negative, he says that that is the positive pressure that you put on yourself because then that does not let you stop. It motivates you. So today, let's all understand what it really means drop the past, walk the present, because a lot of us either live in the past or keep thinking about the future and we forget what we really have today. So, very warm welcome, Journal Dogra. And everybody is very, very excited to listen to this session today because this is something that we all go through, and it's going to be an amazing session. I know for the fact. So, all over to you.
Thank you so much, and wish everybody a very happy Lodi. So I'm going to talk to you about dropping the past and walking the present, as you brought out. Have you ever felt that things would have been better if you had taken a different path in your life? If only you had pursued a different job, if you had ended that relationship earlier, if you had moved to a new city, everything would have been just perfect. Well, I want to tell you that all that's nonsense. Of course, it's time we stop beating ourselves and we need to turn this emotion of regret, into real action. It's human nature to keep lingering on past feelings, on things that you feel you could have done, and reminiscing about opportunities that you feel you have missed in life, whether they were actually real or you imagined them. Opportunities which you feel could have set you on a different trajectory and possibly on a more rewarding path. If these emotions of regret are left unchecked, then they can become so overwhelming and they can cause stress and anxiety. I want to tell you that even pain, even emotions which are painful, like regret, can actually be powerful sources of inspiration. It's possible to leverage regret to move ahead in life rather than letting it weigh you down. Occasionally, we reach a point in our lives when we see that the path that we have been moving along or we have aspired to move along getting choked, and we find ourselves at a definite crossroad where we need to make a choice and we need to act. We need to make a choice whether you want to move on that path or you want to move away. If we pause for too long at this crossroad, if we freeze at this crossroad in fear of indecision, then we make ourselves vulnerable and we lose opportunities that may come our way, or we end up suffering from low self esteem and low self belief. It's in our hands to decide whether these occasions can be used to choose a new path, or we can get paralyzed with the fear of indecision during these moments of weakness. And this moment of reckoning can come to anybody at any stage in their life. But what is important is how you transit through this phase. Because every setback has pain attached to it. And pain changes who you are. Pain changes the way you are. And we should understand that pain is good. Now that a lot of people are going to wonder what I'm talking about. How is pain good? Well, I am going to tell you pain is good for you. Pain is your ally. Pain helps you realize that you are alive and that something has gone wrong. Along the paths that you were traveling, something went wrong and you felt the pain. And it's an indication to set into motion a process of self-correction. It's therefore important how you transited through this phase, because the pain will come and soon the pain will go. And at the end of it, you must come out strong. So did you just go through this pain or did you grow through it? Did you come out better or did you come out bitter? Did you come out a winner or did you come out a whiner? This is what is important. I passed out of the Indian Military Academy in 1981. And when I passed out with a gold medal for being the first in the Order of Merit. And I also got the Sword of Honor for being the best all-round gentleman cadet. And in addition to that, I received 4 more medals for being first in marching, first in physical fitness, first in shooting, and for the first in amongst those commissioned into the Armed Corps. And this was a record because no cadet had ever passed out with 6 medals during passing out parade. I joined a very elite armored regiment, the Pune Horse, which has 2 Paramveer Chakra. And the unit had performed so valiantly in the war against Pakistan that when Pakistani communications were intercepted by the Indians, they found the Pakistanis referring to this regiment as Fakhre-Hind, Pride of India. I, in my career, went on to do 8 courses, and I secured an alpha grading in all of them. And I was adjudged the best student in 5 of these 8 courses. I commanded my regiment, the Pune Horse, in 2003. Thereafter, I went on to command an armored brigade on the Western Front with Pakistan, and also commanded an infantry division, which is part of a strike corps. And my performance in these commands was exemplary. I was on a high in life. I was just waiting, biding my time to get promoted to the next rank. That's the last rank that the Army offers you, that of Lieutenant General. Unlike in the corporate world, the Army has a very steep hierarchical structure, and there are only a few billets at the top. However, since I had had an outstanding track record, I was very confident of getting there, in fact, overconfident. Selection for these promotions in the Army is undertaken by a board of officers comprising senior officers headed by the Chief of the Army Staff. And apart from your personal performance during service, their vote contributes in large measure towards getting approved to the next rank. When the results of my promotion board were declared, I was horrified. I found my name wasn't there amongst those who had got promoted. I was distraught, astonished, and couldn't fathom as to what had gone wrong. I made inquiries, and I discovered that regimental politics had been behind what had happened. And in order to favor a few, my name had been deleted. This was a serious setback to my career of 35 years at that time, and during which I had served with distinction and dedication, always being first amongst my peers. I was demoralized, I was upset. My self-esteem fell to pieces, and I became depressed and withdrawn. Though I knew the reason for my failure was petty politics and not my inability, yet I felt humiliated. I felt incompetent, and I felt ashamed of myself. I had this strong urge to hide. I became withdrawn and started avoiding people and gave up attending social functions. I would lie in bed and spend time thinking and introspecting as to what had gone wrong. I would cry, but I couldn't share my grief with anyone I couldn't even tell my family as I didn't want to appear weak in front of them. So when I went out in public, I used to put up a brave and cavalier front about not getting selected, brushing aside questions on the subject. However, deep inside, I was writhing with pain. I felt like running away and hurting myself. All kinds of crazy thoughts used to fill my mind, and I was a mess, complete mess. So much so that I would fumble even doing things which I was very good at otherwise. And that was because I had lost my confidence in myself. I felt unsure. And from a man who had always led from the front, I started becoming an introvert, nervous, and a withdrawn person. And the feelings were so terrible that when you get such feelings, they can be incredibly damaging to your mental health. It is not only exhausting, but they suck out the joy from and fulfillment from your life, and they leave you only looking backwards and prevent you from moving forward. You keep brooding, you keep wondering what went wrong, what is it that you could have done differently. Now, this situation of regret became a safe haven for me because I was in my cocoon, avoiding people, and I could hide. But it also prevented me from leading a full life. And that's the time I realized that I needed to do something about this. I couldn't go on like that. I couldn't allow myself to decay in this manner. And I started looking at different ways to distract my mind. I took classes on how to play the saxophone. I started reading and reciting poetry. I even tried learning to sing. I did long endurance rides. I rode a cycle from Leh to Chandigarh over 5 of the highest mountain passes, starting from 14,000 feet to 17,600 feet. I cycled in the northeast of India over the Sela Pass at 14,000 feet to Tawang and on to Bumla on the Chinese border, which was at 15,400 feet. Nothing helped. There would be momentary relief, and then the feelings would get back. And that's when I realized that I had to somehow overcome this feeling and prove to myself that I was still the same person who had been awarded the Sword of Honor and the gold medal. And I started spending longer hours in the gym. I found running long distances was a good way to distract my mind. And I would run till I could run no more, and my body would be hurting. But I realized the more my body hurt, the better my mind felt. And that's when I concluded that I needed to do something extraordinary, something unique, something so big that even thinking about it seemed impossible. And so at the age of 57, I took the decision to become an Ironman. Now, last time in my talk, I had explained what an Ironman is, but for those who didn't attend it or who are not aware, I will go over it again. That it is the most grueling one-day endurance event in the world, where you need to swim 3.8 kilometers, which is either in the ocean or in a lake, cycle 180 kilometers, and thereafter run 42.2 kilometers, all to be done within 17 hours. And I began my training. And for that, I had to get out of my comfort zone and devote long hours outside. And to give you an idea, an average person requires between 1 to 2 hours to do 3.8 kilometers of swimming, between 6 to 7 hours to do 180 kilometers of cycling, and between 4 to 5 hours to run 42.2 kilometers. And the fact that I was working only made this challenge all the more difficult because I was spending about 10 hours at work. And therefore, I had to find the balance time out of the remaining 14 hours. On weekdays, I would get back and run at night from 7 to 10. I would cycle on a weekend so that I could manage to get those 6 to 7 hours. And since all this training was going on late at night and on weekends, I, of course, had to avoid meeting my friends and spend less time with my family. And those were the sacrifices that you need to make. But having said all that, I trained for 18 long months. And on 1st of July, 2018, I undertook the challenge at Austria and completed the race in 14 hours and 21 minutes. I made history and became the first serving army officer and the only general in the world to do so. The sense of achievement and the personal satisfaction and the self-confidence that I regained, resuscitated me. The adulation, the felicitations that I received from people who were unknown and known was something that I had never imagined. And there were videos of me completing the event, swimming, cycling, and running, and they went viral on social media. I didn't even know about this because I was on a vacation after that in Europe for the next 10 days. The army was ecstatic. They didn't know I had gone there. I hadn't informed them because it was my personal mission. Nobody knew except my friends whom I had informed on social media by publicly pledging. I was congratulated by the chief. He called me to his office. The defense minister called me to her office and congratulated me. Even Rahul Gandhi congratulated me. And there was a lot of adulation from known and unknown people. And I was invited to talk about my achievements and my experiences at various schools, colleges, corporate houses, TV channels, magazines. But the most important thing of this entire exercise which I did was that I managed to prove to myself that I still had it in me, and it helped me to regain my self-esteem. If you want, you can also bring about serious changes within yourself. If you want to get rid of your past, you need to start living in the present. You must understand that you have no control over your past. Things which have happened have already happened and you can't change them. You have no control about your future. What will be, and you can only at best guess what's going to happen. But what you can actually control is the present. What you can control is to enjoy what you are doing now, at the moment. So you need to get into the moment. You got to get meditative and enjoy what you're doing. And that is the only way you can start thinking of dropping the past. And one of the very, very crucial ways of doing that is to start meditating, is to start thinking and getting your focus in the right place to enjoy the present. A few tips on how you can work at dropping your past. Identify and address your weaknesses. See where you have gone wrong. Accept the fact that anybody and everybody can make mistakes. And then, having accepted that you may have made a mistake in your path, focus on what you can do differently when you go forward. I had mentioned that you would be at a crossroad in your life. You can decide whether you want to go on or you want to move away. But analyze where you went wrong and then take that decision. Use your mistakes as a tool and learn from them. Forgive yourself. That's very important. Most people don't forgive themselves, and therefore they keep cursing themselves of what they did wrong and why they did it wrong and how they could have done it better. And that's why you lie in bed or wherever you are, reminiscing again and again, thinking of what went wrong. So forgive yourself. It's very empowering. And the moment you forgive yourself, the healing process starts and you will start to bounce back. Also use the opportunity to become more adaptable. Most big mistakes present instant changes. I cannot change what I have done, but I can plan a strategy to get back where I wanted to be. That is what you need to look at. Strengthen your ability to focus on things that you can control. There are things that you can't control, and there are things that you can control, which you can change by your work. You're working on them. For example, by working hard, you can change the outcome. Don't rely on the 20 to 30% of good luck. That is not in your control. So strengthen your ability to focus on those things that you can control. What you should have done is not relevant anymore. That's irrelevant. All you can do now is to move forward from where you are. Embrace impermanence. Nothing in life is permanent. Everything happens. You may regret. Like I said, the pain comes and the pain will go. It's not permanent. So nothing in life is permanent. Remember to appreciate everybody and everything in the moment. So live in the moment. Get better at accepting responsibility. It was your responsibility. It went wrong. You screwed up. Now you forgive yourself. Now you plan for the future and now you move on. There's something empowering about saying, I screwed up and I accept the consequences. And success is often the result of taking one wrong step, one misstep in the right direction. I realize mistakes present challenges, but ultimately you can only move forward if you find opportunities in your reality. Life is living in the present and preparing for the future. We always have a choice. Should we allow ourselves to drown in the regret over what never came to be? Or should we put our mind and use our energy to create what can be? I chose the latter. You have to take your choice. Thank you.
I think you just left everybody totally speechless today, because to acknowledge, your own journey, which has been through so much of pain and at a crucial juncture in life, is commendable. So I think before I say anything else, we must, all applaud for you, because definitely it's worthy a big, big round of applause.
Thank you.
And I understand, when you have a setback in life, how painful or difficult it is, having experienced it myself, and having seen my father also suffer through it, being in the army for whatever reasons. Uh, it is very difficult for most people to really bounce back and to really internalize what you said, that, junk the past, don't always live in that, what has happened, but move forward. So I think, I really have no question, but what does everyone has to say? This is absolutely very hard hitting, and something that I've always believed in. Calling a spade is a spade. You just delivered what is something that has been imbibed in my system by my father. So over to you all, ladies and gentlemen.
So I don't have any
I
questions.
would like to add, I'm sorry, sir.
No,
I would like to add one thing there. I'm Pratima here. The moment you started with your journey, I was almost in tears because I could relate myself there. The kind of journey you have had, yes, that is a different field altogether. We guys also, but that was actually so emotional and inspirational for me. I think I have got a lot from you. I need to learn a lot from you, sir. Thank you so much for being such a wonderful person and an inspiration, Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
May I ask something, Vikram?
Yeah, please.
You said that we all, at some stage in our life, go through extreme pain, extreme suffering. That's a go-to in life. Different people have different ways of coming out of that suffering. But the end is that one needs to believe in oneself again after this journey of pain. So could you again give a few pointers as to how one can get back one's confidence or belief, self-belief? Because no matter what you achieve, unless you believe in yourself, you think well of yourself, it really amounts to nothing. So if you could again, from your own experience, please tell me about that. Thanks.
So the outcome of something like this is that you start to doubt yourself.
Yes.
That you failed because of something that either you didn't do right, or you were not competent enough, or you're incapable. So that is where the self-doubt comes.
Yes.
And whilst you know that you are good, but this thing overshadows that feeling. And that happened to me also, which I was trying to narrate. And I told you I tried a number of different ways to try and distract my mind. By taking off to cycling or singing and stuff like that, but it didn't work because the maybe that regret was so strong. It required something to be bigger than what I had lost to be able to convince myself that yeah, I can still do it. So when you say self-belief,
Yes.
you have to get that self-belief back, because that is what you lose. Now,
Yes.
how you get that self-belief back is the entire challenge.
Yes.
You could get the self-belief back by probably time, like they say, time heals. But that time is cannot be defined, whether it would take you a month, a year, 5 years, 10 years. We don't know who will heal in how much time.
True.
So the way I look at it is that if you can rechannelize your energies into a new direction. So when I spoke of that crossroad, that is when I said you have to take a decision now when you are at the crossroad, that are you going to go ahead with the same crossroad, the same path, which you feel is now got blocked by whatever has happened and you are low on confidence, or you can start with a new journey. You start with a different journey. And that is where people say that, they take a decision sometime in the career to end this line and start something of their own or something different, or they have a job shift. Now, unfortunately, in an organization like the army, there is no such thing as shifting your job. You either are in the army or you just leave it and then you start something afresh. But where in the corporate, whilst being in the corporate, you can change your jobs at will and, multiple times. So there is probably more option there.
Yes.
As far as professionally it's concerned. But if it is something more personal, it could be a relationship. It could be anything, monetary issues, where you have now come to a situation where you feel that due to your wrong decisions, you are in this situation. So to get back your confidence, you either convince yourself by doing something different, or then you take a different line altogether. This is the way I feel you can overcome it. And that's what I was trying to bring out.
Jay, thank you. Thank you so much.
We have a question which has been asked by one of the Facebook viewers, Abhishek Sanyal. He's a lawyer by profession. He's asking, does the body control the mind, or does the mind control the body?
No, it's the mind. Because everything you do, everything is in your mind. And that's going to be my next talk, the enigma of mental endurance. How anything you do starts with the mind, even if it is a relationship. It's not a physical relationship, it's a mental relationship. So I don't think the body really comes first. It's the mind which comes first, and then the body starts taking over.
Ila, you wanted to ask something?
Yeah. Good evening, Vikram. I just want to ask you, while you were struggling with your personal battle, how did you deal with the social pressure?
I just cut myself off.
Okay.
That pressure was within me. I don't think the pressure was, with the others. I used to feel that people look at me differently now. They look at me as somebody who is not, made it, somebody who's failed. But that feeling is all in my mind. Nobody ever exhibited that feeling to me. So that pressure, which you say social pressure, was within and not outside.
At times, people label a certain person as a loser or a failure.
Well,
ये
they
जहाँ
don't label
डालता
that.
है वहाँ पे बंटाढार हो जाता है.
If they
He's
do
a
so, it's
loser.
not to your face. If they do so, it'll be behind your back. You won't get to know about it. And that is why you are thinking they're looking at you like that. Whether they are or not, nobody knows. So I think in most civil situations, nobody tells you to your face that you're a loser, or, you have not made it, or you are useless. So, but that problem is in your mind because you feel like that. So it's a personal battle that you have to come. I cut myself off, and I found also that whenever you are in a situation where you want to come out of something, then cutting yourself off is a good healing tool.
Okay.
Rather than reacting at that moment, if you cut yourself off, it is easier to heal. At least it works for me. So different people can have a different strategy, but that's what I feel.
Thank you so much.
And sir, if I may add, and let me tell the audience here, and there are a large number of people who are watching on FB and other platforms. I mean, it was a great setback to a lot of officers when we heard this news, because we never expected, because I and General Dogra, we have done staff college together. He had topped there also. It's such a competitive exam. And let me tell you, I mean, he used to be one of the first one to, finish the assignments, and we used to run to him, okay, sir, what should we do? And I personally, and many others were taken aback, because we never expected, because the politics, I mean, whether it is departmental, Babudam politics, or the politics by the government also, if I can use the word, because had he been cleared for this next rank, he definitely would have been an army commander and would have went on to become the chief. So that was the kind of calculation which was done. And I mean, in this case, if you ask the people, who are his contemporaries or officers of that vintage, you will realize that, yes, it was a very deliberate attempt, and it was done very surgically, just to favor somebody else, and you feel pained when you see mediocrity gets rewarded and the merit is overlooked. That's very painful.
We have Rashmi Sanganera again from our Facebook viewers. That what are the key points to always remain strong, no matter what the situation may be? How can you keep yourself always strong and keep going?
Well, I don't think there is any magic potion or magic solution for this, because I can keep talking out here. Implementing it on ground is a different ballgame. So what we discussed earlier is all to do with self-belief. And when you say keep going strong, is keep believing in yourself. But it's not easy, because when things in front of you are crumbling and you realize that you have been, despite all your best efforts and everything you tried, it's not working out, then it's very tough to remain and to keep believing in yourself. And that's where the challenge comes. So I really can't give you any other, words of wisdom, except that you need to keep believing in yourself as best as you can. And I will also suggest you go up, read up on how you can retain self-belief. I'm sure you'll get more ideas out there.
In fact, when we started MQ, our very first series was called Pain. And the pain was not the normal pain word that we use, but it stood for an acronym which stands for positive attitude in negative situations. So I think what General Dogra has spoken about today, about Inyo, and it is not a story that he has told us, has happened factually with him. And if we can actually understand the pain, the emotions that we go through when there is a setback, because that's the time, a setback could be anything, could be personal, could be professional, could be, the health of a loved one. If I talk for myself, I think 2006 to 2013 as a period, for me, both personally and professionally, were the most challenging. My father was in coma for 7 years, and I had to move location from work because of that. And I moved from Mumbai to Delhi at the peak of my career. So nothing was going in my favor. And every time something would happen, I would, go back to my boss, who was my boss earlier also, but I was like this. And every time he told me, listen, forget that, shed your baggage. Until a day came where it wasn't a break or make point, but it was a self-realization, as General Dogra said, that the moment you realize it, nobody was telling me that I was that and I am this today. It was my own fear, my own emotions which were overpowering me. And the moment I was able to control that, I knew I had arrived. And I forgot what I was. I used to, I could claim at that point of time that I was the queen of the universe. And I was thrown down to actually restart myself. So I actually had to add, if I have to put a very lame example, that in college I had to learn ABCD. But that's how it was. And there was no regret because the decision was taken for a certain reason. Of course, General Dogra's case, the reasons were external. In my case, the reasons were more internal. I had to be here with my father, with my mother, to be there with them. But I think that is what life does to us. There are circumstances. Each of us has to really kind of, hold ourselves. I mean, I know many of you here who've had very, very challenging lives. Ela is one such person, who you always see smiling, has been through enough and more personally, more than, professionally. So, I mean, honestly, I don't think there are many questions to be asked, but if there are any inputs that anybody wants to give, please, use the forum to talk about it. That is why we chose this topic with General Dogra, because, having read about him, having, seen what he has achieved, I think it was the right choice to have him to speak about these topics. Yes, Ela, you want to add something?
Yeah, there's a question from my friend, Dr. Manju Chadda. We used to study together in our graduation classes in Kota, Rajasthan. So she has asked, how to keep up your strength, especially when being a woman, your work is undermined not only by your colleagues, but by your husband too. She is a very successful doctor, but actually there were certain conditions in her life that did not allow her to rise above a point. She is still struggling to find her feet.
So I really don't know what the special circumstances were, but I don't think it's a woman angle again. We should not ascribe it to a feminist, mindset that you are being undermined. It could be maybe in your case, but it's not generally the trend in most of urban India. Might be happening in some places which are rural. So, but I can't comment because I don't know your special circumstance where you are successful and yet your work is being undermined by people. And if it is if it is so, then I think it's purely due to a rural mindset of the people who are around you, who don't appreciate what you're doing. And the problem is with them and not with you. So there's nothing that you can do about it. You need to change their mindset. And for that, probably they need serious education. So I'm sorry, I can't give you any better reply.
Yeah, if I may take the liberty, like I can take the liberty on her behalf. She's a doctor with a corporate in the hills in Himachal Pradesh. And she has been serving day in, day out at the clinic, exposing herself to COVID threat. She herself has had COVID more than once in the past 6 months. वो जितनी बार बोलती है मुझे छुट्टी दो, कहते हैं अब आप बुढ़े हो गए, आप ना बैठ ही जाओ अब घर पे. उनके जो सीनियर्स हैं, who are male counterparts, जो उनके सीनियर्स हैं, वो उनको एक ही चीज बोलते हैं, मैम आप बुढ़े हो गए, अब आप बैठ जाओ. So this is actually hurting. Like she is really emotionally very, very upset because of this.
But इसमें feminism का कहाँ है? I have not understood.
मैम आप लेडी हो, आप बुढ़े हो गए हो, मैम आप लेडी हो, आप बुढ़े हो गए, अब आप तो घर बैठो. वो खुद नहीं आते हैं वहां पे ड्यूटी करने के लिए. जब मैंने इनको बोला, मैं कहा आप जरा छुट्टी के लिए अप्लाई कर दो, अपने आप लाइन पे आ जाएंगे. एंड शी डिड द सेम एंड शी अप्लाइड फॉर अ लीव फॉर अ मंथ. एंड अरे नहीं मैम आप इलाज करवाओ, आप चेकअप कराओ, हम आपके साथ हैं, अलाउ अस टू. So, but she has been facing this all through her life, actually.
I think it's rather sad if this is the situation, but
Aarti, just allow me 2 questions, please. We have a lot of questions coming on Facebook also. So Rashmi Sanganira is again asking a question that, is it okay to share your challenges with people?
I would feel you have to be very selective whom you share your challenges with. You share them with the wrong people, and they will actually do more harm than do you good, because there are people who would at that moment probably lend you an ear, but then use the same knowledge that you have shared with them to probably to pull you down. So sharing obviously gives a lot of relief, and it is good to be able to share, but if you have the right person with you. And that is where the whole challenge is, to find the right person. Even somebody who's near and dear may not be the right person. And so that is a personal, decision that you have to make.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's not be, whining constantly, but choose what we want to share.
Yeah.
And because not everybody is going to be your agony aunt and listen to you and not only empathize but sympathize with you. We have Vinita Singh asking a question. May I know, sir, how can we overcome from negative thoughts when things are totally against around us? We always try to keep ourselves positive, but situations beyond our control and few circumstances make us negative, due to which we always hurt our loved ones. Or we can say that frustration comes out. So, how to keep ourselves positive when everything around us is very negative, and because of that, there are repercussions that come out on the loved one.
So you have asked two things. One is how to remain positive when everything around you is crumbling. But you also spoke something about suspicion. Now that I think takes into a different dimension. I'm not really sure what you're trying to say, but I can only guess. But if you are talking of the first one as to how to remain positive, again, it is mind over matter. It is the mind. And the mind is something that you can train. And that is my topic for the next week. I'm sorry, I keep saying that. Last time you asked me some questions, I said I'm going to tell you this time, and this time I'm telling you next time, because my topic is actually about that, how to remain strong in adverse situations, how to train your mind to have more endurance, to be stronger. So if you attend the next talk, you'll get the thing. But I haven't got the suspicion part. You said, that leads to suspicion.
That leads to frustration.
Frustration, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I heard suspicion, so I was wondering about that question.
Frustration.
Of course. But it's all to do with your mind, because you will find things are not going right. Like this situation, COVID situation. Lots and lots of issues have come up in mental health. It's done more damage there than it's done deaths due to COVID. More people are affected due to their mental condition because of the situation that we are all facing right now. And that frustration has to be tackled and can be tackled. So that is what we'll talk of next time. I'm sorry, I won't answer your question now. There's, the thunder will be stolen.
Yes, Ila.
Is it okay to cry?
Of course.
तो आप अकेले रोते थे या फैमिली के सामने रो लेते?
So this is not something that I'm going to reveal to you. Family ke samne to nahi. I said I couldn't share it with my family.
Okay.
I mean,
So,
they knew I had
but
not made
definitely
it.
you must have been in a very different mood altogether.
No, they knew I had not made it, and I was feeling bad about it. But I
Yeah.
couldn't tell them that I was feeling, lousy like this, and I was feeling this and that, and because I didn't want them to think that I'm a weak person. You need to also live up to the expectations of the ones around you, they're dear and dear. So if I start being weak, then the whole family is going to start crumbling. So that is another important aspect which I feel you have to keep in mind as to whom to share this with. That's why I said you have to select the right person.
Aarti, you wanted to ask something?
Yes. Vikram, usually when we are have lost our confidence due to any particular situation in our life, we very easily get influenced by the negative opinion of others. So at that point, how can we keep ourselves grounded and believe ourselves? Because one is we have been through a bad situation. Two is most people will tell you what you did wrong or how you are wrong or you're not okay. So in that situation, what does one do? How does one hang in there, literally?
Well, you're right that when you are in a weak moment, then you start getting convinced by what other people say. And there will be people who will take advantage of the situation to influence you, maybe for their good or for, something which may not be good for you. But the technique which I used was to isolate myself from such people. That's why I said I stopped socializing. I stopped meeting people. I wanted to heal myself first, because that is where it all starts, within.
Yes.
The moment you start meeting people and you start discussing your problems with people, then you will have as many opinions as you have people. And let me also assure you that 99% of those opinions will be against you and not for your good. It's very rare to find somebody who will give you genuine advice, which is, sincerely going to help you. So sharing out there is not going to be beneficial. You may feel relief that you have let out your emotions, but that's where it ends. And that advice that they give you will keep working on your mind, because you are at that moment weak. You are looking for that straw to hang on to. And whether that straw is going to lead you in the correct direction or not, you are not aware at that time, because like I said, 99% of the straws you'll get will not help you. It's very rarely you'll find somebody giving you advice which helps you. So my technique is to cut off and remain aloof till you get stronger. Because like I said, time helps a lot. And you must give yourself that time. I took about 6 months before I came to this decision and started doing things. And then when I started working on the Ironman, anyway, I had no time to meet people and think of other people's, what they thought about it. And once it was over, I was healed. So I think everybody needs to just find their own technique.
खुद को माफ करना बहुत मुश्किल होता है, लेकिन
नहीं, इतना मुश्किल भी नहीं है. अगर आप कॉन्शियसली सोचो कि मैंने कुछ किया है और मैं अपने आप को माफ कर दूं, there was a time in my life much earlier when even if you broke a glass, you felt very bad. Oh, glass tod diya. So you tell yourself, what the hell, it's just a glass. You won't pick up 6 more glasses tomorrow.
okay.
It's all in the mind. And then you can break a glass, you don't even have to think about it. So it's how you react, because we were brought up like that. A glass tod diya. So, you start feeling bad about it. But it's such a small thing. And to lose your calm for that is not worth it. Similarly, you can work on the same technique for bigger things also. And I use a technique which I'll share with you, which works very effectively. That whenever something goes wrong, say you find somebody is likely to cheat you, or you have made a transaction which, you may have overpaid. So what I do is I bracket it. Okay, the worst case, how much can I lose? So I put a ballpark figure. And the best case, if I had done it rightly, I know the figure. So my loss is, identified immediately. And then I accept in mind, okay, worst case, I will lose, say, 10,000 bucks. The moment you accept it, that, okay, worst case, I'll lose this, then anything which happens less than the worst is always better. So you may lose 8,000, you may lose 6,000. Yeah. You are feeling better because you already accepted something much worse. So I use this technique for everything. This is just an example I've given you monetarily. It could be for anything which goes wrong. And you know exactly the worst case scenario, what can happen, and the best case scenario. And anything less than the worst case scenario is better. So this is a technique you could try.
I have a question. You may choose not to answer it, but it's constantly coming into my mind. When you went through that experience where the the board got rejected, right, for whatever reason, which were beyond your control. Now, come to think of it, it was everything, or one could even say that it was nothing, because it was just a job that you were doing. Of course, I do understand that in a corporate world, a job means just a job. But for a defense personnel, it's all about his reputation, his credibility, and everything, right? But you having known yourself, with such illustrious career, with such achievements and accolades to your credit, maybe in hindsight, I know here we're talking about moving ahead, but just to understand that, what was it that pulled you down? Was it just that the promotion did not happen, or was it something else that bothered you? You can choose not to answer this, because I understand We're on a public forum. Please take the
No,
call.
there's nothing that I need to hide because I've already revealed everything. What pulled me down was the fact that I was not prepared for failure. And this is what I said last time when I spoke of dreams. And the last point which I gave in 5 steps to achieve your dream is that you must be prepared for failure. If I had been prepared, I was overconfident. I thought there's no stopping me. I'm too good. So that is where I went wrong. It is very essential to prepare for failure, however good or however confident you may be. And that's where I made my mistake. So if you are prepared, then the impact will be there. You will feel bad, but it won't be so bad because you were prepared for it.
Anybody? Any other questions?
There's a question from Poonam. I'll read it out. Won't we be depressed if we disconnect ourselves from everyone if we are in a very bad phase of life?
Well, the choice is purely yours. What depresses you more? To disconnect from people, if that depresses you more, then don't disconnect. Or if their social barbs or the pressure or the uncalled for advice that depresses you more, so you have to take your choice. In my case, not meeting people doesn't depress me as much as meeting them would have depressed me.
सर मेरा मानना है कि अगर हमारा सोल कनेक्शन होगा स्ट्रांग, तो अगर हम लोगों से नहीं भी मिलेंगे तो हम डिप्रेशन में नहीं आएंगे. बट अगर हमारा सोल कनेक्टिविटी इतनी नहीं है स्ट्रांग, तो अगर हम बिल्कुल पब्लिक से लोगों से मिलना छोड़ देंगे तो हम डिप्रेशन में जरूर आ जाएंगे.
इट डिपेंड्स. अभी आप जब बोल रहे हो लोगों से नहीं मिलेंगे, तो कितनी देर के लिए नहीं मिलेंगे? 1 दिन, 10 दिन, 1 साल, 10 साल. We're not looking at 10 years. So we are looking at a finite time where जो आपको घाव मिला है वो एटलीस्ट थोड़ा भर जाए. और मैं नहीं समझता हूं ऐसा कोई भी घाव मिल सकता है जो कि लाइफ टाइम चलता रहे. Therefore, it is a finite and shortish time. In my case, like I said, 6 महीने था. In somebody, it could be 1 year. But I don't think really it takes more than that much time to get used to whatever impact you have suffered. My personal opinion.
नहीं, आपका टाइम पीरियड 6 मंथ था या 1 ईयर किसी का है, बट किसी किसी का जो बुरा टाइम होता है, जो बैड टाइम होता है, काफी लंबा भी होता है. तो मुझे लगता है कि उस समय पे हमारी सोल कनेक्टिविटी बहुत स्ट्रांग रोल प्ले करती है, जो कि मेरा एक पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस भी है.
Vikram, did you fall back on God in your weak moments? Did you take refuge in spirituality at that time?
Well, like they keep saying that everybody remembers the army and the God only in times of difficulty. So, of course, you remember God, but I don't think that can really help. That can only calm you temporarily. So when you say spirituality, that is different.
Yeah.
And spirituality comes through maybe meditation, through doing things which you enjoy and get meditative doing. And that's why I said you must focus on living in the moment. And then that is how you divorce yourself from what happened in the past.
Ji.
And I will talk of a technique which I use in my next talk on how you can get meditative even while running. So it's running meditation, and I experienced it. So it works very well. So yes, spirituality in terms of getting meditative, or meditation, or just engrossing yourself in whatever interests you does help. And that is what I was trying by learning to sing, learning saxophone, learning reciting poetry, cycling. I was trying to distract my mind, which means you get meditative to whatever you're doing. But it got over the moment I finished that activity. It did not last.
Ji.
Yeah. So
just an offshoot of that, how does it help if you forgive? Very difficult to do, but the people involved in that particular situation, just so that you can let it out of your system, you can let it go.
Well, I'm sure it'll help because, like I said, the moment you forgive, your healing starts. Forgive yourself if you've done something wrong. Forgive the other if they've done something wrong, whatever's led to this outcome. The moment you forgive, your healing starts. So surely it helps.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Because I'm sure everybody wants to know that what went in his mind and how did he get himself very strong. The endurance that General Dogra has been speaking about, but you'll have to wait for 1 week to know the enigma of the mental endurance and how and what and why is about it. But if anything related to the current topic of drop the past and walk the present, anything specific that you would like to ask? Any questions?
May I go again?
Yes, sure, Aarti, please.
So,
My bank account details are down there.
see, Vikram, you're sharing such a wealth of knowledge. I'm sure it's completely justified. So, definitely. And at the outset, I'd like to say that I can't even imagine what it would have taken to train and complete and compete and achieve the Ironman. So that is simply boggles the mind. All your army achievements on one side and this one achievement on the other side. So yeah, what I was asking was, when you get started onto a new path, maybe you take on something creative, or like you chose to do the Ironman, getting started is always easy, but sticking on, how does one do it? Lot of people fall short of the finish line, they don't breast the tape. So what is it that keeps you going?
I'll tell you next Wednesday.
All right. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I guess I think everybody is still thinking what they should ask you, because I mean I still have goosebumps hearing your journey, and a lot of memories have been freshened up. So I think we'll all kind of dwell on this topic that General Dogra shared today. And next week, when we meet on Wednesday at 4 p.m., after the conversation that he's going to share with us with regards to the enigma of the endurance, we can have more questions to ask, if that's okay with everybody. With your permission, sir.
Yeah, please. I think that's, though I don't think there'll be any more questions coming in because we flogged it enough.
Yeah, but I'm sure, everybody's going to really sit down and think about their pain, about what is it that they're still clinging on of their past, and what is stopping them to really live the moment. Because if you live the moment, you are then actually starting to prepare for the future. And as they say that every morning, the reset button gets pressed when you wake up.
Yeah.
And then you don't, I mean, if you keep brooding about the fact, oh, my yesterday was a absolutely crap all day, then for sure your today is going to be messed up. So, we don't do that. And I guess that's why the Monday blues, a lot of people go through those Monday blues, which I have never been able to understand. I always loved Mondays. And I knew many corporate people who would wear a blue shirt, especially men, again, not to be, chauvinist or any feminist over here, but would wear a blue color. Sorry?
I said your entire forum is very biased against men.
But yeah,
Women
but
power.
Believe us, we are not at all biased, gender biased.
but we have a lot of people on Facebook, where there are men.
No,
and,
gender biased, but all your questions are gender biased.
That is true. I think women are, taking the pandemic time to very seriously in terms of learning and adding value to themselves. Again, a very gender biased view here, as you can see.
This is only in India that
Yeah.
women are so feminist about, Abla Nari and, always on this end. But I don't want to start a conversation here. I know I'll be thrashed. So,
No. In fact, we do. I take a lot of financial mentoring program when it comes to women specifically, and that's the first myth that I break with them. That, hey, you know what? It's exactly the same for you as it is for your counterparts. So there is no such thing, and that empowerment and all that is all. I would say, they look nice in articles, but when it comes to reality, I think it is all about we breaking our own ceilings and getting out of them. So anyways, not making this a women empowerment or taking away the the thunder from the conversation that we just had. So let's all get up to meet General Dogra again next week on Wednesday at 4 p.m., where I'm sure we'll have a lot to learn and a lot to ask. So have a great evening, everyone, and wish you all a very happy Lodi and Makar Sankranti. And to not keep you away from the celebrations, let's call it a day today.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
today,
much.
Vikram.
Thank you.
you're welcome. And
Thank you, Vikram.
And
Pleasure
I'm
meeting
totally
you all.
overwhelmed. Today, like, as Ekta said, so many things came rushing back. And like, you somehow you try correlating or identifying things again and again when you hear such stories. And a salute to you. And I can't wait. We just can't wait for the next Wednesday to arrive.
I hope it's equally.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And as
Welcome.
Ila said, every time, and not because I come from a Fauji background, but every time you hear, such stories which are real from an, serving officer or a retired officer. Like yesterday, I had a retired lady officer on one of my talk shows where she spoke about her journey as a mother while she was still serving and she was in J&K, and the challenges that she went through because of the terrain and all those issues around in that sensitive area. Indeed, as Ila said, that I think, completely hats off to you and salute to you for being who you are and for, sharing this on the platform. And indeed, really, really feel very privileged.
Thank
So
you.
let's all meet each other next week at 4 p.m. We will share the details and let's come back again to meet General Dogra.
See you all.
Enjoy
Thank
the
you so
evening,
much.
everyone.
And happy Lodi. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much.